Welcome to Season 3 of FitPro Sessions, your bi-weekly essential nutrient to progress as a FitPro. Today's vitamin PC is, the pain of discipline weighs ounces, but the pain of regret weighs tons.
Hi, I'm Neil Bergman.
And I'm Hayley Bergman. Over the last 10 years, we've helped thousands of fitness professionals to get qualified, learn with simplicity, and coach clients with confidence.
We're the first to say that learning and being a FitPro doesn't have to be hard work, and that with the right structure, support and resources, you can become a confident and knowledgeable fitness professional that is dedicated to more.
So how do you learn, qualify and kickstart as a FitPro? This is the FitPro Sessions podcast with Parallel Coaching.
The pain of discipline weighs ounces,
but the pain of regret weighs tons.
Welcome to episode 2, FitPro Sessions, your bi-weekly dose of vitamin PC. Vitamin Parallel Coaching. How cool is that?
I'm sure you loved episode 1 because you're back here for more, and it is more energy, more fuel to your fire for your day. So we're starting off with today's quote all about discipline, regret, and the weight of discipline. So Neil, what does this quote mean to you?
I think we both need to have a quick discussion about what discipline is.
That's probably true, actually.
So discipline, when I type it into Google, I've got it right in front of me here now, is the practice of training people to obey rules or a code of behaviour.
Oh.
So we've got to have a routine, a code of behaviour, a series of rules that serve us or maybe even disserve us in order to get the very thing we want, and that's being disciplined. Now, what I found incredibly interesting was the last part of this definition is using punishment to correct disobedience. Now, I found this incredible because I sat on this quote for quite some time. And I thought about this a bit further. Now, if I'm going to follow a series of rules in order to get to my desired outcome, a series of habits, a routine, maybe to get towards my revision or completion of my LAP, okay, or maybe you're listening to this and you're not involved in fitness, welcome, but you might be getting into the gym or getting into your diet. You've got to follow a series of rules.
Your own nutrition.
Now, if you don't follow that, then you're also likely to have a series of punishments, okay, that you inflict upon your world to get you back on track.
Because those little rules you were saying about, I class them as discipline. But you're saying that actually discipline includes the punishment for not following the rules.
Yes, so and I've been guilty of this, and I've seen it I've coached hundreds of clients, literally hundreds and hundreds of clients to major transformations. Yeah. And in the early stages of working with male and female, mainly guys, okay, I've seen that they'd have a series of rules in order to lose weight. And if they didn't follow those rules, they'd also have a series of punishments or corrective behaviour that they'd inflict upon themselves and others for not following the rules. Yeah. Okay, so the moment somebody kind of falls off the track, falls off the wagon, it's kind of like in for a penny, in for a pound, and now they inflict this way of almost self-torturing themselves in order to get back on track.
What sort of things?
Well, it would be things like anger, guilt, shame and blame.
Yes.
Okay, but then those are very emotive and they're locked between the 6 inches between our ears. But then you've also got the physical elements of those, of taking actions. So take somebody, for example, on a diet. They've got these series of rules in order to lose weight. And if they don't lose weight or they don't stay on track and they're not disciplined, then let's get the right word, they're using punishment to correct their disobedience. So their punishment could be, well, eating all of the wrong things or drinking all of the wrong things.
Oh, I didn't do it. In for a penny, in for a pound.
In for a penny, in for a pound. Yeah, completely. So I tried, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, really, really good. Something happened at work or something, life threw us lemons, okay? And we then punish ourselves for that. And so you could do it in a number of ways, but I think one of the ways would be through feeling angry with ourselves, feeling guilty with our action or inactions or our decisions, therefore going through some kind of blame or shame cycle, this karmic loop that you just keep mulling around until eventually you leave that and you go, right, I'll start again on Monday, new discipline starts, enter new discipline. Okay, but it could be the same karmic loop that you keep going round week in, week out, which would explain why so many people turn around and say, I've been here before, this feels very similar.
Which is what I think the second part of the quote is talking about, where it talks about regret.
Go for it, over to you.
The quote talks about in the second half that the regret weighs tons, even though the discipline weighs ounces. So for me, that means like, well, it's easier to do the small little things every day, because although they weigh something, you've still got to factor them in, you've still got to fit them into your world. It's easier to do those small disciplined things than it is to deal with the regret afterwards for having not done it.
Yes.
That's how I read the quote.
Amazing.
And like you were saying about like this anger and this frustration that people get, and this guilt and shame for having not then done their discipline. And that's exactly the same thing. That's the important part of that regret.
Yeah. Well, it is correcting their disobedience. That's how I see it. So in order to...
I hadn't picked that up at all.
So in order to, be disciplined, then, everything works in pairs. Our muscles work in pairs. Our bicep and triceps work in pairs. For every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. So if I'm going to be disciplined, there must be the opposite of that, which is to be disobedient. Okay, so if I'm going to have really strong rules, then I'm going to have really lax and weak rules, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And so the stronger the discipline is, okay, let's say there was a happy medium at, say, 10. Yeah. 10 was now our new 0, if that makes sense. Yes. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now let's just go 0. Let's just keep it really simple. Let's say 0 is balance. Yeah. Okay, and I'm going to be really, really strict on my discipline, and I'm going to be 10 out of 10 on discipline. Then I must expect to be minus 10 at some point if I fall off the rails.
Oh, wow.
Does that make sense?
That's that punishment.
That's that punishment. That's that disobedience to bring us back to equal. Whereas I think, if the first part of a quote is the pain of discipline weighs ounces. Okay. Whereas if you just went, right, I'm just going to take a simple action, one action, I'm going to go +1, then I can expect the -1. And that's easier to manage than going, right, I'm all in. I'm really disciplined. This week it's going to be X, Y, and Z. It's going to be super strong. I'm going to do this on a Monday, this on a Tuesday. And we almost set ourselves up to fail through being almost too disciplined.
Yeah. Well, if we apply it to revision, so if I apply it to revision and you're able to do like small little pieces of discipline, and those disciplines would be tiny little study sessions every single day.
Yeah, so let's
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so the discipline would be the actions, the tangible, actionable actions. Is that the right way of saying it?
Like to watch a video, to read
a but also to not be disciplined and have rules that say I've got to watch the entire video. I can only stop this revision session once I've done all of the mock questions. I must have read this entire chapter. I must get to, the end of this in this section, if that makes sense. Those would be the real strict rules and discipline.
Right.
As opposed to saying, right, I'm just going to study and it's going to be 15 minutes. My focus is going to be on, origins and insertions, and I'm going to pick one muscle. I'm just going to study.
Rather than going extreme on what you expect
which is
of yourself,
that 10 out of 10 discipline.
You can pick the small
completely.
Things. Cool, I get you.
Completely. Because so if you go back to discipline, it's the practice of training people to a set of rules or a code of behaviours. And when that's really, really strict, our discipline's really strict. Whilst we can see that, I think in society is a really good attribute to have, I'm actually putting it out there for you to consider that sets us up to fail, because for every action there's an opposite and equal reaction. So if I'm going to go 10 out of 10 and I'm going to go, right, I'm going to watch an entire video today. I'm going to read the entire chapter of this manual today or this book. Then I'm going to do the same tomorrow. I'm going to do the same on Wednesday. I'm going to do the same on Thursday. You're going to slip up at some point. And when you slip up, that's when you go to that -10, is what I'm saying.
Wow, I like it.
As opposed to saying, right, I'm going to revise today for 10 minutes. My focus is going to be here. I'm going to be able to, at the end of it, tangibly say what I've learned. I'm going to be able to recall 1, 2, or 3 of my top learning points. So there's a clear aim and objective still, but there's not very, very strict disciplined rules within it that set us up to fail.
Yeah, and that's that strictness, that extreme level. Yeah. And that's what I also like about, in the quote, it's talking about ounces. So ounces are really light, they're really small.
And ounces are just one...
And that little tiny bit that you're saying about, so do those tiny little small disciplined ounces. And that they will stack up over time, but they also mean that you're not going to get the tons, the really heavy regret
the other side to it, which was the ounces, which is the ounces of 1 -1, or the tons, 10 tons versus minus 10
See,
tons.
so philosophical
Day. Now, with that, you know, I also think, you know, if you think ounces being really light, they're quite manageable. It's something very small. That would be your, again, like just to recap, the small tasks that you take each day.
Yeah, little tiny tasks.
So
for revision, that could be that you're going to listen to a 10-minute audio, that you're going to watch a 10-minute snippet, that you're going to just learn one muscle.
Yeah.
They're really small, something manageable and tiny.
I think we could go one step further than that. As opposed to saying I'm just going to learn one muscle and I'm going to take 10 minutes. Now you've put this expectation maybe or discipline or set of rules on us for I can learn it in 10 minutes and I'm going to remember it in 10 minutes. And what if I don't learn it within 10 minutes? Do I have to keep going? So you might say, right, I'm going to learn something about the triceps muscle today.
So it's a little bit broader.
It's a little bit broader. So you can go in and go, right, this is my aim. I'm going to look at muscles. I'm going to have an inquiry revision session into muscles. I'm going to look at the arm. Okay, I'm going to look at the triceps. And at the end of my 10 or 15 minutes revision stint, I'm going to be able to recall 3 anatomy and physiology facts
about
that arm. Now, you might not have learned everything about the tricep in that 10 or 15 minutes. Okay, cool. It's not saying the end outcome is now I've done the tricep. I know everything.
Never need to go
it's
back.
Literally turning around and saying, well, I can recall that it's a long muscle. I know it's a skeletal muscle.
I know it's on the back of the arm.
I know it's on the back of the arm. And you might go, I've read lots of other things, but those are the 3 things I can remember. Knowing that your action point out that would be like, I'm going to return back to this in a couple of days' time to retest myself and build upon my knowledge.
Wow.
And
like that.
And that
I
think
that
is
general.
And that's for but it's specific. That's for strategy. See, that's the principle of learning, not the tactics of learning.
And also, what I like is that feels lighter. It
feels light. So going back to the
ounces.
quote, the quote was, the pain of discipline weighs ounces.
Yes.
And they're just small ounces.
And it feels lighter because it's less of a stress to try and
Completely.
I must learn everything. The same applies for a workout. Like, you're not going to go and do everything and get a PB on every exercise you do. It's just a case of something small.
But when you go all in on discipline and you make it incredibly strict and you have this series of rules and habits and this code of practice and you go all in 10 out of 10, you've got to expect to go minus 10 at some point. And it's what do you do at minus 10? Do you go inside your head and go through this kind of anger, blame, guilt, shame cycle? Or do you punish yourself, this disobedience through beasting yourself in a hard hit session, or turning to alcohol, or turning to arguments, or turning to food or drink, whatever. Yeah, completely.
So,
where in your world are you focusing on discipline and being maybe too disciplined for your own good? Are you being 10 out of 10 disciplined, where regret weighs tons, or are you just being 1 out of 10 on discipline?
Where you can pick those small little disciplines that weigh ounces.
That weigh ounces completely. And who do you need to become, and what do you need to do right now, today, or this week in order to be disciplined, but focus on the ounces and not the tons?
Absolutely. Okay? That's a good question. I like
Remain mindful that for every action there's an opposite and equal reaction. So if you're at balance, okay, and you're going to be 1 out of 10 disciplined, that is, in my opinion, way better than being and going -1 than being 10 out of 10 disciplined and going -10.
Yeah. So you're taking that pressure off yourself by having a lighter load on each of your discipline items every day.
And consider that you're still incredibly disciplined, but you don't have to go through all of the regret of weighing tons.
Yeah, absolutely.
There we go. Which brings us to the end
of today.
Episode 2.
Thank you for watching episode 2.
Your bi-weekly dose of Parallel PC. Parallel PC? Vitamin PC.
Vitamin PC.
Vitamin Parallel Coaching.
Oh, God. Please do drop us a review on iTunes if you've enjoyed this. 5-star review.
Of course. And whatever other platform you're listening in on, just drop subscribe, drop us a comment, drop us a share, and get involved. And tune in on Thursday this week for episode number 3 for your next bi-weekly dose of, let's get it right, Vitamin PC. See you later.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Neil Bergman.
And I'm Hayley Bergman. Over the last 10 years, we've helped thousands of fitness professionals to get qualified, learn with simplicity, and coach clients with confidence.
We're the first to say that learning and being a FitPro doesn't have to be hard work, and that with the right structure, support and resources, you can become a confident and knowledgeable fitness professional that is dedicated to more.
So how do you learn, qualify and kickstart as a FitPro? This is the FitPro Sessions podcast with Parallel Coaching.